Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Wrestle Addict Radio Network.
Hey, what's up, you guys?
What is going on, everybody?
What up, fam?
Hey, it's me.
What up, Oozes?
What's up, guys? This is the Monday Night Delight.
Are you looking for a network that brings you all things pro wrestling? Then look no further. Wrestle Addict Radio brings you a varied source of wrestling content.
What's going on, guys? This is Willie T.
My name's Mr. Fretz.
This is your resident Smart Slayer.
Search for Wrestle Addict Radio on all major podcast platforms and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Buzz, guys. My name is Kate Murphy of the Kings of the Ring podcast, and you are listening.
And you're listening. And you're listening.
And you are listening.
And you are listening.
Get ready for a war, because you're listening.
Come join the war each and every week as we fight to keep wrestling real.
What's up, everybody? This is King Ricky Rose, and you are listening to Wrestle Addict Radio.
Hey everyone, it's the Princess of Pro Wrestling, SoCal Mal. You are listening to the Game Changer Podcast. Sending lots of love from California. Mwah.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Game Changer Network. I'm NateFNGreat, and I am very much depressed at this point. Being joined here by the man who's going to probably tell me the one thing I didn't want to hear. My co-host, everybody's favorite Canadian on Twitter as well as in wrestling, Mr. Fretz.
Hear ye, it is I, thine favorite Canadian and thine court jester, to the king, Baron Corbin. I told all of you. Kate Murphy, you also called it, so I got to give you massive props to that as well. And it is good to serve the king. I was going to put in, the Lion King. I can't wait to be king in here, but I'm just in too good a mood. That made me happy. That was good.
I was about ready. You tried to deface one of the best Disney movies of all time. I will shut this podcast down right now.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I couldn't do that to you or to Simba. So, yeah, me, Legendary JF on Twitter, Mr. Fretz, Prime Minister of Wrestle Addict Radio, and, of course, the court jester on the right-hand man, to the king, to the man who should be the number one contender to the WWE title. But, we'll get there, folks. What a week. Whew.
It honestly has been one of those crazy weeks, and let's actually kick it off with that discussion of the fact that Baron Corbin is indeed the king of the ring. First of all, that match on Raw between him and Chad Gable, wow. I honestly had a feeling that they were going to go a little more above and beyond, but I think they went a little more above my expectations. Baron Corbin definitely put on a showcase, definitely had that dominant spiel going on. Then we had Gable trying everything that he could, from the moonsault to the Chaos Series suplex, which just shocked me that he was able to hit that on Corbin. And that ankle lock, oh my God. I literally said it on Twitter that I was literally on my hands and knees begging, just tap out, Corbin, just tap out. I was praying to my television, please just give me this one thing, give me King Gable, give me Gable. But nope, in the end, Corbin got the ropes, had a really beautiful counter that we expected was going to happen to the end of days, and Baron Corbin became your 2019 King of the Ring. Had a very, very well done coronation, which ended in tragedy when Gable came out. And some people might say, well, Gable's kind of the heel here. I would disagree with that because my wrestling logic states the fact that Corbin was being a dick. He did a lot of puns that were just egging on Gable, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, what's the worst way to kind of humiliate, Baron Corbin? Oh, I know. Let's just rip up his robe. Let's wreck the scepter. Let's destroy his crown, which was awesome. And I will say this: one of my favorite moments of that SmackDown was Corey Graves holding the scepter, just looking like he's about to start bawling, and then Byron Saxton just throwing a handkerchief over at him. It's like, great, we have a Byron Saxton highlight. That's awesome. I love it. Just give me more of that, of where Byron Saxton owns Corey Graves. I'll be happy. Because Renee Young, she does that very well, but at the same time, she's got to take a day off or two from that.
Yeah, I liked that coronation. I'm looking at that. Yeah, I thought Gable did look a little bit heelish. At first, I'm like, dude, you're a poor sport. And I know he came up short. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a short guy, too. I'm only 5'5", so short puns, I can make them, and I can also absorb them. So, yeah, dude, you're a poor sport, Gable. But, yeah, after making all those jokes, yeah, Baron kind of deserved it. And I don't know if this was symbolic or not, because you had him, Baron came out, robe, crown, that barely fits his big bulb chrome dome. It's like he stuck his head in the Shino Ballo at the bowling alley Homer Simpson used to work at. Maybe they're not really giving Baron a royal gimmick. Maybe this was symbolic of that, but I don't know why you would win King of the Ring and then not immediately at least have it kind of in your character. Like, Owen Hart never came out with a crown after he won, but he decided to call himself the King of Hearts. Bret Hart never wore it. He wore it hey, I won the King of the Ring, here's this crown, and then all of a sudden Jerry Lawler comes in, boom. Steve Austin never wore it. Triple H kind of did. He was already coming out in his preppy attire. Ken Shamrock, he never did. 1999, nobody won King of the Ring, so nobody wore the crown. Brock Lesnar never wore it. Edge never wore it, but Edge came out with that Stanley Cup trophy. Oh. Yeah, I'll have to see where this goes. I'm intrigued, and I would really like to see Baron get a little bit up the card.
I think that's definitely going to happen. But I think he's also going to be feuding with Gable for a while, to which I say I'm okay with that. If they show more matches like they did on Raw this past week, I'm totally okay with that. I would definitely be okay with a feud for that. So, we talked about King of the Ring. Let's talk about the show that decided to push King of the Ring off of this deal, and that was the Clash of Champions event, which, honestly, I think a lot of people were still a little pissed off at some of the things that happened. But honestly, it was a pretty decent show. It had a couple twists and turns here and there. First thing that everybody complained about, and I totally understand why, 2 title matches got bumped off the card to make room for a non-title match for no reason whatsoever. But trust me, we're going to get into that. Oh boy, am I excited to talk about that matchup, actually. The Cruiserweight title matchup where Drew Gulak successfully retained, as well as AJ Styles defending against Cedric Alexander in a successful retaining as well, but also that beautiful, phenomenal forearm into the Styles Clash. Whew, that was nice. That was really good. 2 great matches, once again, pushed down to the pre-show. I hate when that happens, but it does kind of set the tone for the rest of the night, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I was a little surprised that AJ Styles was bumped on the pre-show, and they had a good. Him and Cedric had a great match. I don't know if it was this match or the match they had on Raw where AJ Styles just kept beating him up afterwards and gave him that second rope Styles Clash. But if this is a feud that keeps going and maybe involves an eventual title switch, I mean, all for it. It doesn't matter to me where it's placed on the card. Everyone's just like Twitter just had a meltdown. I'm like, it's just a title match. I mean, I understand why they bumped it off the card. I mean, when we get to, say, Harper Rowan, which I think we kind of joked about being on the pre-show, and now I see why it was not. Yeah, two good matches. I mean, Drew Gulak, I think, is going to have a great run as Cruiserweight champion, and at first I was thinking the person that will eventually unseat him is Kushida, but I think Kushida is moving on to a much bigger opponent. We'll get there.
Ooh, yes.
But when we talk about I'm sorry for this. This was Corey Graves' word for Mike Kanellis. Beta cuck. Yikes. I think Kanellis is eventually going to snap, and you know how I predicted that whole power couple thing with Mike and Maria?
Yeah.
I think they'll have an on-air split, and then Mike will have a good run as Cruiserweight champion. That'll be the person that gets. But I think that's Survivor Series Royal Rumble at least, because Drew Gulak is the second coming of Bob Backlund and Kurt Angle. So
honestly, I think that would be a really good move, especially after what we saw on Raw this past week. They had the gender reveal party, and honestly, it was a kind of nice, tamed deal. Then Maria had to show up, and it was just like, oh boy, what are we going to get here? First of all, congratulations to them for expecting a baby boy. I was trying so hard to find that gif of Freddy Krueger from Dream Child, where he's just on the top of the altar just going, "It's a boy." It's one of my favorite things. But during that deal, we see Maria say, "Oh, the father of my baby is Ricochet." That led to Ricochet versus Mike Kanellis, which ended mercifully very short. Ricochet hit the recoil for the 1, 2, 3, but then Maria's like, "Oh, Ricochet is not the father of the baby. It's actually this man, Rusev Udrya, Rusev Magica." To which I'm one of those people that was elated. It's like, oh my god, I got to say, no, I missed it, damn it. Because I think after that matchup was over, I was just like, I'm going to take a crap, whatever. I missed Rusev making his comeback, and I hate it because the fact is, I missed Rusev. He is legit a badass, and I love what he does. And oh my god, new hairstyle, new facial, new mustache. He looks slimmer. He looks a lot more fit. He just legit looks like he's in great shape, and I love it. I love the fact that he just looks like he is just ready to just tear apart anybody that's in his face. And unfortunately, in this case, it was Mike Kanellis. And unfortunately, somebody actually pointed this out. Why, oh why, is Rusev being put in these really dumb storylines? Because, of course, we have to invoke the fact that in real life, he's married to Lana, and they even talk about that on screen. So is it like Lana is just out of the picture in this case? Is there some weird thing? I don't know. It's that when you get to the logistics of the story, it's really thinking like, oh boy, we're getting that whole Dolph Ziggler storyline again, aren't we? It's like, in a way, yes. So Jerry Springer is probably going to make some kind of appearance during this entire deal. I mean, he's done it before. I mean, Bella Twins, random deal on Raw where Kelly's pregnant with Hornswoggle's baby, but it's not really a deal. It's just all a ruse to just have fun at Jerry Springer's expense. And then him and Mae Young, which is still one of those things where okay, that's not bizarre. That's just actually more funny and in a weird way cute because it's Mae Young. God rest her soul. I don't know about this. Hey, let's get to talking about the actual card of Clash of Champions because that just opens up a whole new wound if we go any deeper than that. Oh, God. It could be worse, and I can only say 2 words. Claire Lynch. Anyway, moving on to the Raw Tag Team title match. You know what? Actually, you kind of gave away the big spoiler for this matchup, so let's just get this one out of the way. Eric Rowan defeated Roman Reigns in a no disqualification matchup. Honestly, for the most part, it was very slow, but there were some points where I was like, okay, this is really good. The end of the matchup featured Roman Reigns looking like he's going to do like a Spirit Rowan from the top of the rampway all the way down, when all of a sudden, bam! Somebody attacks Roman. It's Luke Harper, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't seen him since WrestleMania. Holy shit, he looks awesome. Came out, beat down Roman Reigns, and he helped Eric Rowan win the match. Honestly, this is kind of a shock to realize this, but this is actually Roman Reigns' probably second loss on paper in quite a while, because a lot of people remember the fact that he's lost, Brock Lesnar consistently, but last time I can remember was Shane McMahon, and now he lost Eric Rowan. So if anybody thinks like, oh, Roman Reigns, he's going to be the mainstay of the WWE, it's like he had 2 matches in pay-per-views, and he's lost both of them. So I don't know if he's really that much the face right now. I know that he's a big-time advocate for the Connor's Cure deal, which I think is awesome. I think that that's honestly the best spot for Roman to be right now. I think that having him with those commercials with the kids, talking about them defeating cancer, and him kind of being the spokesman, kind of like he's like the Sami Zayn to the Shinsuke Nakamura, which, trust me, we're going to talk about that matchup. I think that, with Roman, he definitely is in a really good spot right now. He's not getting forced down our throats. He's just kind of that guy that's, more focused on rebuilding himself and actually doing, putting on some pretty good matches. I will say this, that it seems like we're going to get a tag team match with Roman and Daniel Bryan against Harper and Rowan, which I would be very interested in seeing. Do I think it's going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. I still think that we're going to get Roman and Daniel Bryan for the bigger picture, which I'm hoping is the direction we're going, because, oh God, I want to see that so bad. They've only fought against each other like one time. I think that was Fastlane before WrestleMania 31. So, oh gosh, I really want that. I want that rivalry now. I want Bryan versus Roman so badly at this point. But it's great seeing Harper back. It's literally one of those things where the floodgates open. I'm like, yes, my boy Harper is back. I'm so happy. It was really cool to see that. He's teaming up with Rowan. I don't care. They're a great tag team. Let them pair up for a while and then get Harper a singles run. Then make him WWE champion. Who does he beat? Brock Lesnar. That's never going to happen. Let me dream, damn it.
Yeah, this was one of only two matches I got wrong on my predictions. So if I was still contending for the Game Changer Championship, you might be talking to a new title holder here. But Harper, he's one of my favorite celebrity Toronto Maple Leafs fans. I mean, his display picture right now is Mitchell Marner, who just re-signed with the Maple Leafs, but it was when he was playing junior in London, Ontario. So it's Thursday. You know what that means. I have to get that out there because, Harper already did. I thought I'd never see him again. I thought that I'd see him end up in Wrestle Kingdom in January, or one of the first AEW shows. He'd come out and, he's an opponent for, what did I say, Luchasaurus? Yeah, I still want to see Harper versus Luchasaurus. Bring that on. A tag team match, singles match in this feud, I want to see both. I mean, I think Hell in the Cell is going to have the tag team match. Maybe they'll put it inside the cell, which, I would be opposed to. I think that pay-per-view should be like Lockdown. Maybe you can put them all... Did they try that one year and put everything in the cell? In 2010? I swear they did that. Or most of them instead of one or two shows.
I want to say that you're right, because I remember when they first did Hell in the Cell, they usually had 3 or 4 matches inside the cell, and then they just said, no, let's just keep to 2, and we'll call it good. And yeah, that kind of stuck. But for them to have a pay-per-view that's around that concept, just to have every match in there, it works. It makes sense. And honestly, I will say this, we do have 2 matches that do feature the Hell in the Cell stipulation, but we'll get into more of that a little bit later on. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I've already put my input into this, so let's get into talking about, hey, it's Clash of Champions. Let's talk about some championship matches. We had the Raw Tag Team title matchup. Really not much you could say about this except for Braun make big mistakes. Seth Rollins get pinned. New tag champs. Hey, Rude's a champion again, but it's with Dolph Ziggler. I want Rude and Gable again. It's so horribly mismatched that these two are together. I'm sorry, I do not like it. I don't approve of it. And also, I will say this to that person that's pissed off at the fact that I called Robert Roode Bobby Roode and decided to block me for it. Yeah, kiss my ass. Because I'll call him Bobby Roode all I want. I literally said it on Twitter that I've known him for years as Bobby Roode. I will continue to call him Bobby Roode. Just because he changed his first name doesn't mean that it's going to make it any different. And besides, AJ Styles, he made a name drop during one of his deals on Raw where he said, like, facing off against Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, I mean Robert Roode, sorry. To which I'm like, yes, even AJ admits that that's stupid.
Or if you're Quebecois, Robert Roode. Yeah, they had an okay match. It wasn't really anything to write home about. Like, I knew that Bobby and Dolph were in there just to sell for Braun Strowman because you get Dolph Ziggler, he can sell like HBK on the moon. It's like his selling against a bigger guy is like how HBK sold for Hulk Hogan.
Oh gosh, that's right. Oh boy. Oh, good memories of that matchup. Oh gosh, that might have to be like a SummerSlam we'll have to review just to review that match in particular. Let's see how Shawn Michaels can just be a ham in a wrestling match. You want to see that? Watch Hogan versus Shawn. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, it's stupid, but I'm totally okay with it. But maybe that's just me, and maybe it's a stupid American thing.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
All right, next matchup, which is honestly the shortest match of the entire card, including the pre-show. Bayley versus Charlotte. Matchup got pretty physical. I kind of liked what they were doing with Charlotte, where she was just literally going batshit crazy on Bayley. It's kind of one of those sides we haven't seen since her match with Ronda last year at Survivor Series. So it's like, okay, we're getting this. This is kind of interesting. Then it kind of ends abruptly with Bayley getting the bottom turnbuckle exposed. Charlotte goes into that 1, 2, 3. That's it. And then Bayley just runs off with the championship. It was one of those moments where it's like, well, okay, that was a bit of a shock. So Bayley gets her win over Charlotte, and then she runs off like she just committed murder. That's the only thing that I remember from that was just Bayley getting the victory, and then she's like, give me my belt, I'm booking it. Like she's expecting everybody to just pelt her with like bullets and shit like that.
Yeah, I was shocked at how short this was, and then I wasn't really even paying attention. I think I was just, messing on my phone, or I was having something to eat. And then I see the match is over, then I see she bolts like, that Popeye's chicken is about to make its exit, but, okay. I mean, I knew Bayley was going to win here because hometown and Hell in the Cell is in Bayley's hometown, so this is where No, I still think that we're leading to, if they're doing champion versus champion, Sasha versus Bayley, still I think it's going to happen, like respect match, but they're both, Charlotte and Bayley are capable of putting on a really good match, and I think they are going to come Hell in the Cell, but this one was just, wow, why so short? But, I'll take it.
I don't know. I will say this, though. This next matchup, I had expectations for it, and it slightly exceeded them, actually, because it was the Revival dethroning the New Day to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And like I said, this was one of those matches that I was very much interested in seeing, and then after I got it, I was like, this was kind of what I expected from this. This was what I expected from a New Day Revival matchup, a rivalry between the two of them, and it's one of those things where like it finally took them so long to give them this kind of showcase, this kind of platform to create a great matchup, and it was good. It was really good. I liked that they focused on the whole, Xavier Woods had his leg injured deal. They focused on the fact that Big E was going to be the big guy, so they had to find ways to break him down. Oh my god, that Shatter Machine on the outside was just beautiful. I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, yes. Oh, that might just take Big E out of it. I honestly thought that Big E was going to come in for the save, but we see, I think it was Scott Dawson locked in the figure leg submission maneuver that he locks on him, and Woods tapped out, to which another shock for me. I was like, okay, I didn't expect this to be a good match. Oh, Woods tapped out. Okay. That's new. I didn't think we'd see Revival get a submission victory. Actually, it's been a while since they've had a submission victory. I can't remember the last time those two won with a submission hold. Might have been in NXT days, if I remember correctly.
It was.
Oh, jeez. It's been that long? That's insane.
Yeah, the last time they won via submissions, I think when they beat the Vaudevillains for the NXT tag. No, they won. Yeah, they won the NXT tag titles from the Vaudevillains via the trailer hitch, the reverse figure 4. Jamie Noble's old finisher. Okay. And then when they successfully defended against Enzo and Cass at NXT Takeover London, it was the same thing. I think they had it locked on Enzo for like an eternity, and Cass was indisposed on the outside, or he was selling an injury himself. So yeah, it's been a while since we haven't seen the Shatter Machine win it, and I think it just adds extra layer to their character. I'm loving the Revival right now. Like I've been a fan of them since before they were called the Revival. Like I think they were unofficially called the Mechanics, and Scott Dawson used to come out with like the Jamie Noble gimmick and have like the trucker cap and the plaid vest. And do you know who his manager was at that point in time?
Was it Jamie Noble?
No, it was Alexa Bliss.
Oh damn! Oh shoot, that's right.
She was like the Nadia to Jamie Noble's Scott Dawson.
Oh, the naughty Nydia. Speaking of Alexa Bliss, that ties in very well with the next matchup, which was the women's tag team title match. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, Fire and Desire, which I gave them props on Twitter. I literally said, well, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, oh gosh, they look amazing. Oh, Alexa Bliss is dressed up like Harley Quinn this time around. I'm okay with this. Fire and Desire, your move. And then their music hits, and I'm like, well played. Well played. Because that's one of those mashups that actually worked out pretty well, surprisingly enough. I was very impressed by that. I did not think that they were going to come out with like a mashed up deal. I thought like, oh, they're going to probably come out with a new theme song or some shit like that. And then when I hear Sonya's music, I'm like, okay, they're coming out to Sonya's. It's like, oh, there's Mandy's theme. It's a mashup. Okay, this is actually pretty well done. Okay. Match itself, I thought it was pretty serviceable. I thought it was pretty good. They did play the story that, of our Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville going to pick up the victory. One thing that a lot of people didn't like, and I was okay with it. I understood why they did it, though. The whole deal with the 24/7 title, with R-Truth just coming out and coming in during the middle of the matchup, and gets to be kind of funny because the following night the tag team champions would be taking on the former tag team champions in Sasha Banks and Bayley. Of course, the winning team would be Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. But the match itself, there were a couple moments where I thought, oh crap, Fire Desire is going to win this. Oh no. But no, in the end, we see Nikki Cross hitting her vicious top rope snap spinning suplex, and that picked up the victory. She has avenged herself against Mandy, and oh gosh, the amount of jokes about the whole, like, oh hey, look, an ugly girl just defeated a hot girl. That's WWE for you, or some shit like that. And then continuing like the weird like jokes about Fire and Desire and the magazine covers. I think our buddy at Wrestle Addict Radio, Jeff Amacchio, got a comment from Sonya Deville about the whole donut thing that they were talking about. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but anyway, getting back to this matchup, like I said, it was serviceable. I thought it was pretty good. I thought that the ending was definitely very dramatic, what that way it needed to be. I think people were kind of bored at first, but then they started getting into it. It's like, oh, okay, these women are actually doing really good. Please give us more matches like this, please.
Mandy.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, man. First off, Alexa Bliss, Harley Quinn was officially a better Harley Quinn than what's her face from Suicide Squad. Like,
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, thank you. Get in there. That was a perfect cosplay, and I've been waiting years for that cosplay, to be honest with you, because I think maybe there was a hint of it a couple of years ago, maybe on like a Halloween show, but she went full hog on this one, and it's awesome. Like, I might be coming around on Alexa Bliss finally, so yeah, I thought, these four ladies put on a fantastic match, and I'd love to see, more of it, maybe with Fire Desire eventually taking the tag titles. I was going through Instagram here earlier, and you see our good brother, formerly from Rant with Aunt Philium, just puts up Mandy Rose's Muscle and Fitness cover, just says, holy shit, and then in the comments, his fiance Brittany just puts like, dude, and I comment down there, busted. Brooks the Bean signal, folks.
Hashtag Philium in the doghouse. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Phil, we love you, bro, but at the same time, they're just having a place to do this, but when your fiance is on social media, probably want to choose your tweets very, very carefully. And this is a case in point deal here.
I think she was on with a joke, but it was still funny.
That's amazing. Brittany, we love you so much. Oh, man. I want those two to just keep doing these kind of random deals on Twitter now. I really think it'd be kind of funny. It'd be kind of like the whole... do you remember back when Miz and Mizdow were kind of a thing, and they had that Viagra commercial, and Miz makes a comment on Twitter, and Maurice, his wife, just makes a talks about his package, and Miz just goes off just like, it's not that small. Just some shit like that. It's so funny. Definitely, they addressed that on Raw too, so that made it even more entertaining. It's like, wow, so they're basically making fun of Miz's package size. I love it. I actually love it because it's funny. Oh, gosh.
This podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew.
It's brought to you by Niagara, the best male enhancement pill since Viagra. Oh, my gosh.
Chat me up, Bruce. Do you want to get your dick hard? I am not going there unless A, I get a girlfriend, and B, Blue Chew pays me.
There we go. Blue Chew. Get us to be subscribers and get us to be sponsored. No, not really. Let's talk about the next matchup, shall we? The Intercontinental title match between Shinsuke Nakamura and The Miz. First of all, Sami Zayn coming out and just doing his best to just be the most annoying piece of crap you'll ever see. And also, the fact that his microphone got cut off halfway through the matchup. That was funny. So many people were pissed off about that. To me, I'm just like, oh my god, WWE's in on this joke. I love it. Just give us more of this, please. Just, that was awesome. In the end, though, Mr. Shinsuke Nakamura picked up the victory with a beautiful Kinshasa. And oh my gosh, that moment where he got a skull-crushing finale on Nakamura, I'm like, oh shit, they're going for it. All right, we're going to see nine-time champ. Nope, Sami Zayn helps him out. Nakamura hits his Kinshasa. Boom, he is still the Intercontinental Champion, which we will also say that one of our friends from the former Rant, Issa, was definitely happy about that. I mean, why not? She is probably in love with Nakamura as much as any Nakamura fan at this point.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm waving my strong style shirt to the camera here, folks. Yeah. Sorry, this isn't video based, but yeah, this is the second and only other match I got wrong. I thought they were going with the Miz. Thank God they didn't, because if Miz is Intercontinental Champion, I want him as heel Intercontinental Champion, because I think that's just his better role and how he thrives. But then I saw him do the Bret Hart shade spot with the kid at ringside. I'm like, okay, maybe they are going to run with him as a face. So, okay, why not? But yeah, I still think Miz will get it eventually. Although once we hop on to SmackDown, Shinsuke was on to another opponent. Yeah, they put on a pretty decent match, and once I got big time Abraham Washington and Leo Rush vibes with Sami Zayn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Leo Rush, yeah, we'll get to him too.
Trust me, he is gonna be in the show. Don't you worry, folks. Okay, I will also say this. The one comment that I made during this matchup was, has The Miz really won with the figure 4 leg lock since picking it up from Ric Flair? I think people have already commented on me. They said maybe once or twice, but that's about it. The only one that I can think about...
He won the IC title with the figure 4 the night after WrestleMania 29, I think, against...
he won it he won it at 29. He won it in the pre-show against Wade Barrett when he was doing that brawler gimmick, which I think was his best one. Second, only to be seconded by the Bad News Barrett deal. I thought that that run there when he was just doing the bull hammer, he was just this rough and tough dude. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely awesome to see that. And then he got injured. It was like, damn it, God, he's one of those people that keeps getting injured at the wrong time. It's like, no, I want my boy Wade to be successful. I want him to be awesome. Oh, what? Why? He's going to be Bad News Barrett. Okay, he's a little entertaining. That's cool. Intercontinental Champion. Yay! He had to relinquish it. Damn it. King of the Ring. What? Okay. He's going to be King of the Cosmos. Okay, now you're just pissing me off. League of Nations. Fuck you, WWE. Giant middle finger to you.
Oh man, that there was a missed booking opportunity from August. I'm like, oh man. He's like the modern day Mr. Kennedy in a way where, yeah, you're in the middle of a decent push and a good run, and you get hurt or suspended, and that's that. And unfortunately, Mr. Well, I think Mr. Kennedy's doing stuff down your way, isn't he? Isn't he doing a bit of stuff with ACW or?
He's been doing a lot of independent shows around here in Wisconsin, and he's still just as entertaining, if not just as over as he was probably in WWE, or TNA if we want to go that far. Still very likable, still very entertaining, just literally one of those guys where it's like, yes, I'm okay with this. I will tell you guys this, that when we get closer to the date, there is going to be something special that I will make an announcement for come the November show in Stevens Point. So definitely just listen in for that. But that's for later on down the road. Gosh, I think I lost track of where we were. Oh, okay. Probably one of the more physical matches in the Raw Women's Championship history, next to when Ronda Rousey was around, was the Raw Women's title matchup in which Sasha Banks defeated Becky Lynch by disqualification. This matchup was already physical as is, and these two took each other to a limit. They did a lot of chain wrestling, they did a lot of brawling, they did a lot of that. Sasha Banks was looking to use the steel chair, but Becky was able to grab it. Becky inadvertently hit a referee with the steel chair, and then we see Becky Lynch going absolutely batshit crazy on Sasha Banks. We see the two of them fighting in the crowd. I think there was a point where Becky Lynch actually sprayed condiments on Sasha Banks, to which it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of a little comedic, but that's kind of still one of those things where it's like, well, she's tarnishing her good looks, so, kind of take a shot at her. There was a spot where she actually had the chair set up, grabbed Sasha's arm through the chair, and she did the disarm her with the chair. That was a brutal spot. That was one of those things like, oh, okay, that might actually do a little bit more damage than that. And you just hear Sasha just screaming out in pain. It was just absolutely brutal to see that. Becky Lynch got fined $10,000, I believe, for this one. And I will say this, another gem from Kevin Owens, who still blocked me on Twitter. Damn you, Kevin Owens. He had a moment where he talked about the whole deal with Becky Lynch, where she, whaps the chair on the referee. He made a comment. He's like, "So Becky Lynch is getting fined or fired, right?" It's one of those things where it's like, "Oh, that's a little rough." But at the same time, he's bringing logic into this. I understand where he's coming from. The interesting thing that came out of this, other than the fact that we have Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell, was, I don't know if you read up on this, there was actually a point during this matchup where it looked like a fan was trying to grab Sasha Banks' butt. And Sasha Banks actually commented on this deal where she said, "I'm suing." And apparently, WWE is going to be trying to take some legal actions against the fan that tried to do that, as well as possibly having bans or certain kind of fees for anybody that tries to do anything like this, which I can understand that. I think that that's one of those situations where I don't think WWE is overreacting. I think that they're actually showing that they care about their employees. And at first I was thinking, well, she really didn't get, touched, so I wouldn't see any reason for, suing unless actually made contact. But if WWE wants to actually enforce a rule of, hey, no touching the, stars, especially in an appropriate way like that, I can understand people just basically be like, oh yeah, like touch the shoulder, touch that kind of deal. That's fine. But there are still boundaries, and they're still human beings. You can't just touch them willy-nilly like they're pieces of meat. I'm sorry for some people that are actually shocked to hear that. Yeah, men and women are not just pieces of meat. They actually have these things called feelings. Respect them and respect their boundaries, because they're called, what's the word I'm looking for? Human beings? I know, it's a shock. Jeez.
Yeah, that piece of shit was filming himself doing that. He knew what he was doing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Sasha's hot, but you don't grope her. It's things like this is why the Shield stopped coming down from the crowd, because someone grabbed Roman's cock.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're good-looking people. You can have thoughts, and you can possibly keep them in your head, and not on Tumblr. But my goodness, don't be dicks, guys. It's not that hard, and I did not mean to make that pun. But this is why men on wrestling Twitter suck, and this is why ladies say all men, and I'm like, okay, guys, be better. We suck. Be better. I'm going to get off my high horse right now, because that's just going to take me down a rant rabbit hole. That fucking pissed me off. And then the ending pissed me off, too. It's like, hey, we're brawling in the crowd, and then 10 minutes later, Corey Graves informs us, oh, yeah, that was a DQ. This, to quote, whatever, I think this was... It's either Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore or some other Adam Sandler movie. It's like, this is something that could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
I think that was Billy Madison to put your mind at ease. I do agree that was another dumb point of that matchup. The fact that they decided, oh, hey, we'll announce this about 5 hours after the match is already over. We're going to just let these guys brawl because that's more important. I see your point, but I think it'd be kind of interesting to actually point that out before you get to the brawl. Maybe it's like, think that's going to be a disqualification. Yes, we're getting reports that that's going to be a DQ on Becky. So, just, and then maybe later on do that kind of announcement that they did with the ring announcer. That's fine. But it's just one of those things where it's just really stupid. And I'm looking forward to the fact that we're probably going to get some better commentary on Raw when SmackDown goes to Fox, because I think that's going to be Corey Graves and Michael Cole on commentary for SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken. But I know for a fact that Vic Joseph who filled in for Corey Graves a couple weeks ago when he was off doing whatever the hell he was doing. Do we care? I don't personally. It's what he's actually going to be filling in for, I think, Cole and Graves, which he did a pretty good job. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a new person. He's kind of doing a pretty good job. Honestly, it was kind of a breath of fresh air to not hear Corey Graves being an idiot, which a lot of people have mentioned that he sounded like that for quite a while. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got to put in for this matchup. And honestly, I'm looking forward to Becky Lynch versus Sasha at Hell in a Cell. That's going to be brutal. Brutal, if you will.
Bring it on. I want that match. Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. Oh, man. Dave Bautista's the man. He's the man of the memes. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so the next matchup we have on here is for the WWE title. Kofi Kingston is successfully defending against Randy Orton. Match itself, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I had so many people during the prediction battle saying that, oh, well, Randy Orton's going to win. Randy Orton's going to win. I'm thinking to myself, God, I don't want that. I really do not want that. And so many people were saying, like, well, you know, with them going to SmackDown in October, they need to change things up. They need to do something ground shaking and blah, 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 that kind of deal. I think that they've accomplished that, and trust me, we're going to talk about why in just a bit. But like I said, the match itself here was pretty good. And we see Randy Orton, you know, he nailed the RKO. Got only a 2 count because Kofi got his foot on the rope. That was good because they're keeping the RKO safe for, I guess, you know, people that are not quote-unquote top-tier wrestlers. That's a bit of a callback to the top-tier conversation that Kings of the Rings did. If you want to hear more about that, definitely check out that episode. And feel free to send all your hate to Mr. Will Tarashaw, and he'll tell you why Kofi Kingston wasn't a top-tier guy back in the day before he won the WWE title. Oh, boy, that's just opening a whole new floodgate. I'm closing that book. Thank you.
Thanks for opening that wound, Nate.
Jeez. Sorry, not sorry. Kofi Kingston winning with a Trouble in Paradise. Honestly, I thought that this matchup ended and it held its own the way it should have been. They showed off Kofi Kingston very well. They showed off Randy Orton very well. It was one of those matches that I wish that was the case at SummerSlam, but they had to do that deal to continue the storyline between the two of them, and I'm hoping we don't get to see a rubber match, although I don't think we're going to see that rubber match considering the fact that New Day picked up the victory against Revival and Orton this past Tuesday on SmackDown. Then we got a bit of a surprise for some people, probably not much of a surprise for most. We hear the music of the Beast, Brock Lesnar. He comes out, and Paul Heyman makes the challenge to Kofi Kingston, saying, hey, we would like a WWE Championship match against you on the premiere of Friday Night SmackDown, even though they have gone to Friday nights and they were there for a while, but now they're just making it seem like, oh, well, it's going to be on Fox. That makes it different. Yeah, okay. So, Friday Night SmackDown, first time it's happened just because it's on Fox. Just like, hey, we're going to have, mud wrestling for the first time in forever, and it's going to be on a different network. It's the first time ever because it's on a different network. Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you say. Kofi Kingston accepted, so we're getting Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston. When this airs, it'll be 1 week from Friday, actually, on the premiere of that. Oh gosh, that's going to be an interesting show. That's going to be an interesting weekend for me in general because because there's that SmackDown, and then the night after is Night of the Legends at ACW. So, oh boy, that is going to be a very, very interesting weekend because it could probably start off horribly and end well, or it could be just a flat-out great weekend. We're going to find out very soon. But, Mr. Fretz, I've kind of rambled on a bit enough. Your thoughts on the matchup and also on this match between Kofi Kingston and Brock?
Are we going there already, Nate?
We're going there already.
Excuse me 1 moment. I'll be back in a second. Trust me.
was honestly expecting a Brian Zane scream.
Yeah, this is perfect audio content.
Oh boy, breaking out the brewski. Oh jeez, going crazy on that one. I honestly thought he was going to chug the whole thing. Holy crap. Oh jeez.
I'm actually trying, but... Fuck! No! Why? Okay, I should have warned everybody there for that one. Oh. So... Beastie is back.
Issa's BC, we should say.
I'm gonna get to her.
Oh God.
No, send location. No, okay. So, Baron Corbin just won the King of the Ring.
Right.
So I think technically that someone there should get that shot.
I follow.
But then again, you get, why can't, I know this is a ratings pop. This is, you're going on Fox. Fox is a big deal. Why are you, you're doing this just to get your pop. And Fox is like, hey, we want that money. We want that money. And to quote myself, these are a list of people I would rather see get a title shot instead of Brock Lesnar.
Oh jeez, I remember this.
Jinder Mahal, Kurt Hawkins, No Way Jose, Moppy, Pepper, Chavo Guerrero's pet horse Pepe, Marvelous Mark Merrow, Al Snow, the Giant Roxas book from No Mercy, A.K.I. Man from No Mercy. Issa? Beastie's losing. I'm calling it here.
Ooh. I mean, honestly, you do have a strong claim. You did call Baron Corbin, so you got credibility right now.
Dewey Foley, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, send location. Issa, here's mine. And this is where you put in a long bleep.
All right.
And maybe put a long bleep in front of my giant F-bomb.
Just long bleep. Probably just play some music right here. It's just it's just Brock Lesnar's music. You're welcome.
Or you just get like a do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh, Zoink the Clown.
We forgot to mention here, Randy went for the punt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
First time in what, like, at least 8 years. Like, the last time I saw him use the punt is when he was feuding with Triple H. Did he punt Stephanie, or did he just RKO Stephanie and then, like, kiss her in front of Triple H?
Well, he DDT'd him, but I do remember her getting RKO'd by Randy Orton at one point. I do remember they brought the punt back for his feud with Big Show years ago. But yeah, that's like the only time that I've seen the punt coming back. So yeah, it makes sense though. Big guy, need to hit a big move.
Or it's like, once I saw the punt, I'm like, I thought for a second that, he was going to get Tyler right there. I'm like, oh, so you can't put him away with the RKO, so now you're going to get, vicious. And I actually thought that because of the punt, that maybe, we're going to see Hell in the Cell. We're going to see a vicious side of this rivalry, but instead, the Beast. Yeah. They put on a good show. But that's what I'll say. I'll leave it at that. Kofi is retaining.
I'll give my prediction on next week's episode for that, when we talk about the SmackDown deal. Because right now I think it's a little too early to predict for me. So I'm going to at least save it for one more episode, and then I will make my prediction along with you on that. But who knows? Maybe your opinion will change by that. One opinion that has not been changed for us is, oh boy howdy, the Universal title picture. It's finally getting better. So, well, first we have to talk about this. The Universal title match between Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Honestly, pretty good. Pretty stellar. I hate the fact that they kind of did the same thing they did with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. But at the same time, Braun still looks strong. He was dominating Seth throughout a good portion of the matchup. He was doing everything that he could to put Seth away. Seth was trying everything. He hit one curve stomp and only got a 1 count on Braun, to which is like, oh, okay, that I was not expecting that. Okay, that's interesting. He hits 3 curb stomps. Braun kicks out, to which I'm just like, oh boy, we're getting a new champion, aren't we? And then we see, and Seth Rollins even talks about this during his promo at the beginning of the show. He hits the pedigree on Braun Strowman. Something that even Triple H couldn't do to him. So he hits a pedigree to Braun, hits the final curb stomp for the 1-2-3. Seth Rollins retains. It was a great matchup between the two of them. I think that Braun still looks strong, and I think it's finally time for them to realize, okay, his time for Universal Championship is not working out. The only thing that I could see him doing is winning the WWE Championship right now. I could not see him be Universal Champion, but I could see him being WWE Champion probably by next year. And hell, we got that draft going on October 4th anyway, so maybe he'll get officially drafted back over to SmackDown like they did with the Superstar Shakeup. Maybe not. Who knows at this point? I'm just praying to God this means no more wild card rule, because that was so stupid to begin with. So hopefully when they do this draft, it's actually one of those things where it feels like a draft. It feels like, hey, you guys are stuck on this brand. Stay. You stay. You no move. Unless you're, like the Women's Tag Team Champions, you can float. Hey, how about we unify the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team titles? Make those a thing. Yeah, then they can float. Great idea. Glad I thought of it, Nate. Good job, Nate. But the end of the matchup, we see Seth Rollins. He's just going up the rampway. He's celebrating. We see the final logo. Then that actually spooked me for a minute there. Oh my gosh! Honestly, I think that was perfect timing. That I think legit scared the crap out of me. I was like, "What the fuck?" So it was legit like, "Oh god, the Fiend's already going to be invading the podcast." I get the mandible claw. He just takes over, and then Fretz is just sitting there, just like, "That's been the GC. Bye, guys." Just shuts off the phone before he comes in.
We're really glad that you're our friend.
Oh my gosh!
We gotta talk about that though. Oh, that funhouse.
Oh my gosh. So the Fiend beats Seth Rollins down, locks him in that mandible claw, and that ends the show with just the Fiend making his intentions known that he wants the Universal title. And it kicks off Raw. It fucking kicks off Raw. It was amazing. We see a Firefly Funhouse deal where Bray is just saying like, oh, hey, I just want to be friends with everybody. I forgive and forget. But the Fiend, he doesn't forget. And he's does this deal where he posts up like this wall of friends that he has on there. Oh my god. Mr. Fretz, what were some of the friends that he had on this wall by chance, did you know?
Jerry Lawler, Nick Foley, Kurt Angle, and I think there was one big empty space there, and he's just like, I need to get more friends. And for a second, I'm like, okay, you're not fucking talking about the Wyatt family. And then there's a big empty spot on that wall. I'm like, that's for the title. there is a big empty space there for the like I look over here in my living room, my WCW title mounted on the wall there. It's gonna look like that, but and then later in the show, we'll get to later in the show, but this is perfect. And what was even better is like after Funhouse, we had the theme song playing, and then Baron Corbin versus Chad Gable's Upside Down. And if I had the ability to turn Skype upside down right now, I would, and then I'd blame it on the Fiend. Everyone's like, oh, Kevin Dunn, someone's getting fired, and then like someone's like, what the fuck happened? And I'm commenting, it's the Fiend. Like friends of the show here, Kayla and Rachel were just like, what's going on? I'm like, no, the Fiend. He is taking control of production of Raw. The fun house is seeping into Bray's. The fun house, I think, exists in Bray's mind, and like there's this cartoon someone drew of the Fiend as a puppeteer, like above the fun house, and you see Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt has the strings, like Pinocchio as a marionette in that old movie. Oh, so God. It's finally seeping in, and then eventually when we get to I don't want to think about the Fiend losing yet, but I also like fantasy booking way ahead of time, and I still think of only one person in this, and that's the Demon. But given who Bray attacks later in the show, I'm like, is this going to be like a mantle passing moment with The Undertaker? But it's, I can go on and on. We can go on and on about this fantasy book, but my God. And,
you mentioned the whole deal with The Undertaker. Let's explain why. So during the show, we see a funny little random deal between Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. He comes in.
Larry Bird?
Yeah, he just comes in. He basically talks to R-Truth. He's basically saying, hey, let's hang out for a bit. They reach this football stadium, and R-Truth runs into a goalpost, which is the fucking funniest thing. Glenn Jacobs pins R-Truth to become the 24/7 champion. Then R-Truth pins Glenn Jacobs.
I still got it.
Oh my God, this is so great. Oh man, and it's one of those things like, oh hey, they're just going to be here for Raw. They're going to be coming around just to hang out. We get to Bobby Roode versus Seth Rollins. There's this big deal where Seth gets beaten down by Dolph and Roode and the club, and then out comes Demon Kane. He comes out, beats down everybody that's in front of him, choke slam after choke slam after choke slam. He's just about ready to do his classic, arms up, arm down fire deal, when all of a sudden we just hear the lights go out, and next thing you know, we see the Fiend come in. Fiend comes in, he does the mandible claw to Kane, takes him out of the equation. We don't see a Kane sit up. He sells it. It was beautiful. Then he just peers over to Seth Rollins, and he's just lingering over him. And it legit looks like Seth Rollins is terrified. That's how you create a story, is sell the fact that the Fiend is legit. And they did a fantastic job of it. Oh my God, that was just... that ending to Raw was just crazy. Just seeing, Bray over Seth Rollins. Seth is just kind of freaking out. They just zoom in on the Fiend character.
And then they play the Funhouse theme after and kind of distort it.
Oh my God, that lasted for about 5 minutes too early, because I always said, if they would have done that for an entire hour, I would still be terrified. Just that moment there, I'd
still watch too. I was already at work when this happened, but I reached my I stuck with my data cap mostly because when I'm at work, I'll be in my office doing some stuff before I start going out on the floor of the store, and I'm like, I got to see what's going on Raw. Oh, like both of our group chats were just on fire when that happened. Like, they're giving Bray some free reign. Like, Vince is loving it. Like, I think Vince loves the whole Vince puppet thing with the money. Like, because he has a sense of humor. And he's like, all right, yeah, okay, pal. You're just going to get free reign here. I'm just so enamored and intrigued with this character. And the visual, like, there's that visual of Bray standing behind Kane, like, just giving him that eye. Like, everyone just made memes out of it. It's just like, Kane, me, the Fiend, my crippling anxiety.
Right.
And the visual of, Seth in the corner and Bray just creeping up to him was just like... okay, you ever watched The Nostalgia Critic, Doug Walker?
Oh, of course.
You remember that time he was he does reviews of retro commercials, and there was this commercial from the 80s, like, we are Nintendo, a unintentionally creepy Nintendo commercial, and he just gets up, he just gets up, walks out of the room. You hear him literally having the shit scared out of him, like, insert Dumb and Dumber poop noise here. Wah! Comes back. Yeah, that was me.
Oh man, dude, oh gosh. And we have our second matchup confirmed for Hell in the Cell. Like we said, Fiend versus Seth Rollins inside Hell in the Cell. Oh, that matchup's gonna be beautiful. That's gonna be beautiful. But guys, we've talked for about a good hour right now, so we're gonna take a nice little commercial break. We're going to come back, talk about the premiere of NXT on the USA Network, as well as read maybe one or two tweets from #ProTalkWrestling. So guys, stay tuned. We will be right back.
What up, Ooses? This is DFDC Jeff Pomantrio of Not Your Mama Soap Opera, and you're listening to Wrestle Addict Radio.
Hi, I'm NateFNGreat. You know what's really fun, you guys, is just spending some time creating wrestling moments, whether it's being in the crowd, cutting promos, or just really kind of beating each other up with a chair or a trash can. Well, let's just say that there's a safer way to doing that without using the actual chair or a trash can. Go over to Great Minds Revolution Incorporated. My buddy Kurt has actually created a very safe and fun way to be a wrestling fan without the necessary lawsuits of basically beating each other up with real stuff. He has an inflatable chair that is really fun to just whack around, and it could also double as a little floaty for a pool. He also has the inflatable trash can, which, you guys, is really awesome because let's say maybe you don't want to use it for wrestling matches. You could use it at your barbecue, your next big tailgate party, whatever you could think of. Great Minds Revolution, Inc. They do a great job on making wrestling fun again. Proud friends of the Game Changer Podcast.
What's up, guys? This is the Monday Night Delight from the Gifted Podcast, and you're listening to Wrestle Addict Radio.
What is up, you guys? We are back with the Game Changer Podcast as a part of Wrestle Addict Radio. I am NateFNGreat, joined here by Mr. Fretz, and guys, we have to give them the plug. Wrestle Addict Radio at @addict_wrestle. You can check out all the great podcasts, including ourselves here at the Game Changer Podcast. You also have the Gifted Podcast, Not Your Mama Soap Opera Podcast, the Kings of the Rings Podcast, as well as the Fourth Wall WrestleCast. Guys, check them out. Also, be sure to check us out on Patreon. For just $5, you get exclusive content to you guys. Definitely check it out. Be a patron, and be sure to also feel free to give us some comments on Twitter. It's absolutely awesome to hear from you guys, because without you guys, we're kind of just two crazy dudes just talking on a podcast. Enough said. So I do want to actually talk a little bit about the whole Twitter deal with, we'll first cover a couple like Pro Talk Wrestling tweets that were on here. First of all, thank you again to Mr. Wade for being another one of our great friends to promote the #Pro Talk Wrestling. He's got a couple.
Wade cares.
Yep, Wade cares about Pro Talk Wrestling. Boom. So a couple things that he actually said during during Clash of Champions is that Charlie is looking amazing with a gif of a guy basically approving this, and then the second one was, I hope the Boston Hug Connection both leave with gold tonight. Well, it didn't happen that night, but it may happen sooner rather than you think. But the one that was my favorite tweet was the one that you shared with me. I'm trying to... Okay, here we go. It was from... I think it was from this past Monday, where it was from @SidBridge Comedy, where he says, 2, TOO, things I would do if a guy slept with my wife. 1, lawsuit. 2, slap face. 3, flatten tires. 4, paternity test. 5, soul-searching conversation with wife. 6, soul-searching conversation with self. 178, challenge the guy to a wrestling match.
Sid Bridge, you got to check that guy out. He's gold.
Oh my god, that like I said, that was my favorite one. That was amazing. And guys, if you want to be a part of the conversation, be sure to use the hashtag #ProTalkWrestling. But I will say this was something that was not actually public on Twitter. No, it actually was. I stand corrected because I actually remember it started on our Twitter chat, and then it just transitioned into me just doing one tweet about it, where for some reason we got on the topic of Randy Orton and his junk, where I basically just talked about like, oh, he's talking about the Viper, and we just made a joke like, oh, the Viper is what fucking what fucking Orton calls his penis. And it's literally one of those things where our friends Kayla and Rachel, they're such good sports. Oh my gosh, those two are just absolutely amazing. Gosh, I'm tagging them in this when the episode comes out. This was just so funny. I'm trying to remember. I'm going to get my exact tweet that I had for that, but I just remember making a strong comment on Randy Orton where I just said a comment where I just said that let's just say that a Viper can't handle an anaconda. Wink, wink. it's really,
anaconda don't want none.
Oh, I hate you. I'm kidding. Oh my gosh. Just for the love that's all that's high and mighty. It's just really fun when you get a chance to just talk to so many great people when you just talk about these awesome things, and when you just decide to be like really stupid, it's just even funnier. Oh gosh, that's right. I remember this too. I think there's a point where if I remember correctly, I think that Rachel was having a hard time getting through the event, or was getting through that or through Raw. So what did I suggest to her? I just said like, ooh, what do you need? A little bit of the bubbly. And the funny thing was that she went through it. She just said like, okay. Oh, that's right. Now I remember. Okay, so Greg Hamilton apparently said, I think it was like 280 pounds or something like that, and Randy Orton kind of barked at him saying, no, it's 285. My tweet was, Orton wanted Greg to add 5 pounds to his weight. Ha! Must be for his... Never mind. And that's where the conversation started. So...
Oh, yeah.
That might be my favorite tweet that I've ever created. Just because that whole, never mind just kills it. I just love those kind of moments where you could just be like, oh, hey, that must have been that time when you had... Never mind. It's one of those things where it's like, you could just put that into anything, and it just somehow makes it either more comedic or more intriguing, where it's like, no, I want to hear your complete thought. Please, by all means, finish it. I'm like, no, I'm good. Ah, jeez, but just having that. So let's talk about this past week where NXT had their premiere on USA. So here's something I want to state for the fact.
Oh, Nate, before I forget, can I give a cheap plug, a shout out?
Oh, please, by all means, my good sir.
So, friend of the show, Izzy. Big shout out to Izzy. You probably won't hear this or anything, but she did a little interview with Tommaso Ciampa Like, I think it was actually, like, WWE promoted it.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that, actually.
And then Tommaso's like, it was funny. He was kind of referencing, like, yeah, apparently I'm cleared to wrestle. I'm like, you had neck fusion. You're not. Like, talking to a guy with metal right back here. It took me a year before I was fully recovered, but same thing with him. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be there every week until I can compete. And he's like, and she referenced Goldie. I'm like, yes, like, Izzy, you're the best. Talking about Goldie, and I'm going to get Goldie back, blah blah blah. But I gotta give her props there, because you can always see her in the crowd at Full Sail. Like, she's always on the hard cam side. Her and I haven't seen Nick Giacobbe there in a while, but maybe I'm not paying attention or watching enough NXT. But big shout outs to Giacobbe and Izzy there, like, because I think Giacobbe is actually going to Full Sail for his sports broadcasting. Like, that's his dream to, I think, be a commentator. Like, big ups to him, and he's a smart young lad, and I think he'll kick ass. And Izzy, going through her MMA training, like, I can't wait for you at WrestleMania, young lady. Like, you're gonna kill it. Big shout out.
So we're finally going to get that Izzy versus Sasha Banks match that we've always wanted since NXT TakeOver Respect.
Izzy versus Bayley at WrestleMania, like, 43.
I would pay good money to see that. I will literally go on a flight if it's in the UK. I will definitely sell my soul just to get a ticket to fly over just to see that matchup. That's how much I want to see that match. But getting back to NXT, of course, they had their premiere this past week on the USA Network. Here's the thing. 2-hour show. How did that work out? Hour 1, USA. Hour 2, WWE Network. Was this a smart decision? You've already answered that question. You've already answered the question. The USA portion was great. You literally got to see a 4-way match to determine who was going to be the number 1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. We had Mia Yim versus Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae versus Bianca Belair. And honest to God, I now see why people were going absolute batshit crazy for Io Shirai. Because as soon as she came out, I was like, wow, this is different from what she used to have, where she was like colorful and she had the tiger mask and everything like that. She just comes out looking legit one of those women that just would probably end up killing you. And I'm just like, oh wow, I need to just readjust myself just a little bit. Okay. Woo! Oh man, people with epilepsy, I apologize. That entrance, oh my god, that just sucks. But oh my gosh, that whole entire change where you just see how she looks now compared to like a year ago, it's like, wow, she's doing absolutely fantastic. And in the end, we get to see Candice LeRae picking up the victory, Mrs. Wrestling, which I'm perfectly fine with. Because in 2 weeks, we get to see, well, actually now it's a week from Wednesday, we'll see Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae for the NXT Women's title. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that. I really want Candice to win. And people are saying, like, you just want that because she's Mrs. Wrestling. No, because she's earned that spot. She's proven herself. Give her a run. I think we finally need that babyface women's champion in the limelight. Although, I am going to question the fact that why is this not on an Evolution event? The Evolution is not happening. It should be happening. Case in point, last year. Complete success. Case in point, you didn't have one this year because you're idiots.
They don't have one this year because Ronda Rousey's not there because...
So what? I don't care. You literally got a handful... You got like 2 hands full of women that you could literally create this entire show with. You don't need to rely on just one woman.
Exactly. This is like... I think this is WWE's mentality. Like, a lot of people are calling... It's a little harsh, but they're kind of calling the quote-unquote women's revolution a farce because, now you're not having this. Like, Ronda, like, they tried to build it around, like, they saying shit like, it's only there because of Ronda Rousey. I'm like, yeah, Ronda Rousey's a big name. She's a prominent, Ultimate Fighter. She's a household name. Like, more people know who Ronda Rousey is than say who Sasha Banks or Candice LeRae are. No offense to them. And it's like, oh, it's because Rousey bringing in a big name. I'm like, I want Evolution too. I want it bad. Like Evolution. I think that was the best pay-per-view in WWE last year. You know, other than like NXT Takeover New Orleans. But yeah, it pisses me off. That's not happening. And yeah, but these four ladies just killed it. Absolutely killed it. Taking lumps out of each other. I was not expecting Candice LeRae to win. She wouldn't have been my pick, to be honest. And it's funny, Rhea Ripley, after the match, tweeted, I think she actually tweeted the Florida police department, like, "Hi, I'd like to report a robbery."
Robbery? But, oh my God.
Candice, I'm like, I love Candice LeRae. I'm like, you won with a lion, like a springboard lion saw. I'm like, it's like I would like a move with a bit more oomph, like the KOD. That's a sick looking move. And you got a burning hammer into a facebuster.
Oh my gosh!
I would have been okay with any of these four ladies. Like, I'm finally coming around on Bianca Belair. Like, shout out, friend of the show again, Phil, like giant fan of Bianca. But when she was getting the title shot, I'm like, I didn't get the appeal because I'm like, you just whip people with your hair. That's your gimmick. And then she's like, that the EST of NXT, a cocky bitch there. And I'm like, I didn't see her whip the hair. I'm like, okay, good. You're finally not using that as your gimmick. And I'm like, that would hurt because that thing looks like it's as hard as a leather whip. And I think I've been like, I've been hit with one of those. Like, I had friends who, like, I guess for some reason had this in their house. I'm not asking questions. And like, we're drinking and dicking around with it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that hurts. That leaves a mark. No thanks. I think Candice is going to win it, but it's going to be a transitional champion kind of thing where we might see Io Shirai get the title offer. And maybe we'll see, I don't know, maybe see Baszler on the main roster, like Shayna Baszler. Let's see, who would get like a Baszler versus, oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, if Ronda Rousey's coming up, get Baszler versus Rousey, get that rivalry going first before you build up the Horsewoman match, because like Duke and Shafir, they're green. I'm going to say it, they're terrible. They are terrible in the ring. They need a bit more time to develop, and they will improve. They will. But yeah, Mrs. Wrestling, Candice LeRae, I think she's your next women's champion. You start off that is October. Oh, that's the first time they go up against AEW. So I think you're going to start that. I'm not going to call it Wednesday Night War because it's not. Because, well, Monday Night Wars was only people were watching on TV, but now you got people are streaming, or people are watching on demand later, or watching on YouTube, or watching on BitTorrent, or what have you.
No.
More women's matches like this. This is what I want the women's division to be. And have a little bit more time as well, so yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So, next matchup on here was like a 10-second matchup that featured Cameron Grimes defeating Sean Maluta with just a jumping stomp to the chest. That was it. I will say this. As soon as I saw Cameron Grimes on there, I was like, wait. No way, that's not. I'm basically going through my phone on Wikipedia. I'm like, oh my god, that's Trevor Lee. That's Trevor Lee. Yes. I'm totally down for this. I'm totally happy for this. As soon as he won that, I'm like, okay, I'm totally on board for this. I'm fine with this. So seeing Grimes there, yeah, I'm not really big on the name, but you know something, I'm still going to call him Trevor Lee, probably to the point that I die. Unless he can.
The breakup.
Oh, that's right. Oh, man. Then we get to the North American Championship match, which we have Roderick Strong taking on Velveteen Dream. Roderick Strong picked up the victory. I will say this, that the matchup was just absolutely great. I did have an issue with the finish, though. And here's my reasoning why. So, Roderick Strong, he hits his the end of Heartache move for a very close 3 count. But then we see the whole, Dream hits the, Dream Valley Driver. Cole hits the super kick on Dream when he gets distracted. Strong hits his end of Heartache move again, and that's how he wins it. It's kind of one of those things where I'm like, you kind of wasted a couple seconds just for that. It's one of those things where I shouldn't be nitpicking about it because Roderick Strong ended up winning, but at the same time, it's like, he should have just ended it with the first one. It should have just been that. Don't do this stupid, suspenseful kick-out-of-finisher deal. I get it. Dream's got to look strong. But he looked strong already. You didn't need to put him, stronger with anything else. Just let him just take this fall. Boom. It's a finisher deal. Stop making finishers weak. Stop making finishers weak, damn it. Just so dumb. But I do want to read an excerpt from CBSSports.com that actually covered the entire NXT show. Specifically, this matchup here. This last excerpt here says that it is Strong's first singles title in NXT, coming 1 month shy of 3 years since he debuted with the company. This was a good piece of business all around, and the title change, with Undisputed Era fulfilling their prophecy, feels fresh. Grade B+. I 100% agree with this. It was a great matchup. It was fantastic to see Roderick Strong pick up the victory. Dream still looked absolutely strong. Just nothing really issue about it except for the finish. Like I said, that's the only thing. You should just keep a finisher, be a finisher. Let it just be one. Boom, done. That's just my only issue with it. Other than that, it was great.
I've been a big fan of Roddy Strong for a long time. Probably at least 15 years. 15 years now since I've been watching him. I used to watch him in Ring of Honor with, do you remember Chad Collier? Does that name ring a bell?
Not so much, no.
I think they were either a tag team or they had matches in Ring of Honor, but I get big time Dean Malenko vibes out of Roddy, and he's just someone who's been putting in the work since day one. And this goes back to Ring of Honor. I think he was a Ring of Honor champion or TV champion, but finally this guy is getting his due, and finally the prophecy of the Undisputed Era has been fulfilled, and I couldn't be happier. Big time fan of everyone in there. This goes back to when they were all in Ring of Honor. I think Adam Cole was in a stable with Red Dragon in Ring of Honor as well. So this just adds to it. And you put Roddy Strong, who's probably feuded with all of them. And I have a fantasy booking theory. No. I was thinking of how Roddy Strong would cause the Undisputed Era to implode from the inside, but I don't think it would make that much sense. So, maybe it's this IPA talking to me already. So,
Who knows at this point? So, next matchup actually took place on the WWE Network, and it was Pete Dunne getting a victory over Arturo Ruas, I believe it is. Pete Dunne getting a submission victory, which was honestly a bit of a shock to me, but when you have your hands basically just stretched out, just pulled apart, kind of hard to not think, I need to tap out. My God. That matchup was just great. It was very physical, and it just ended very well. Then I'll just go into the next matchup. Xia Li defeating Aaliyah via pinfall. Aaliyah literally kills Aaliyah. That's basically all you need to know about this matchup. Literally just...
And Vanessa
Bourne. Oh gosh, I will say this, that I think that that Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah are one of the best combos, and they definitely deserve to be in the tag team running for the women's tag team titles. Maybe give them about 1 more month just so that they can kind of figure out, okay, what can we do for tag team moves? What can we do for this? Then maybe have them challenge Bliss and Cross, because why not? Let's just have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross come down for an NXT homecoming deal. Let's have that moment again. I'm totally okay with this.
Yeah, Vanessa Bourne, I'm getting big time vibes out of Vanessa Bourne, mostly because she kind of reminds me of one of my exes. except that this person's hair was curly and frilly like that, but it wasn't as poofy, and I'm like, you're reminding me of her, and because you broke my heart, I can't like you. I can't. Like, this is someone who dumped me over text, and I'm just going to stop right there because, yeah.
Happy thoughts.
Yay, happy thoughts. Wait, what's the next match?
Oh, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. So this young guy, Denzel Dijournay, I believe was his name. He comes out because he's supposed to be wrestling against Kushida. No, because they decided, hey, we're going to do something differently here. Here comes Imperium. They come in, and they beat up Denzel like no tomorrow. Hit him with a German suplex, a flying uppercut deal. Then we hear the theme music of one WWE.
I was trying to get it on here again to play a prank on you, but fucking man. Ads, man.
There's going to come a point where I'm up.
Yeah.
Walter. Oh my God. Hearing the Walter theme music just was beautiful. Hearing that on an NXT show.
Where is Walter? Wait, come on, guys.
So it's like give it a little bit of time. There he is. So he comes out. He basically says that they're going to restore respect to wrestling, and then out comes Kushida, who makes this comment about, oh, this is his time. He comes in. He basically takes out the three members of Imperium, and then he goes for Walter, but Kushida is able to get out of it. He's able to slip out of his Marty McFly jacket, and he's able to, save it for the time being. So, oh man,
Kushida versus Walter.
Oh man, Kushida versus Walter. God, if that's like the next NXT UK main event, people are going to watch that just because so many reasons involving the fact that they want wrestling boners and they want this matchup because let's see Walter try to chop Kushida. I want to see if this happens. Oh man. So, next matchup we have out here is the number one contenders match for the Cruiserweight Championship, which we had Lio Rush defeating Oney Lorcan. Honest to God, this was a matchup I honestly thought was built for Oney Lorcan, but they pulled a shock out of it, and they completely shocked me. I was like, oh, they went with a different direction. Okay. Match itself, we see Oney Lorcan literally just being like, okay, I'm literally just going to be like uppercutting you, slapping you, doing everything I can just to basically just rip you to shreds. When they mentioned that he was trained by Lance Storm and I saw him locking in that single leg crab 3 times, I was like, yep, yes. He's totally a Lance Storm boy. He is totally a Lance Storm boy.
The Canadian Maple Leaf.
That was just awesome. But in the end, we see Oney Lorcan. He tries to do a running blockbuster on Lio Rush, who counters it into a Spanish fly. Just literally like such a fluid motion. That was just amazing. Then he hits his Dragon's Call Frog Splash for the victory. So Lio Rush is going to be challenging the Cruiserweight Champion in a future episode of maybe NXT, or maybe it's at a certain pay-per-view. Who knows? Either way, Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak. I want to see that just for Drew Gulak to just choke him out. I'm sorry, I'm still not over.
Lio Rush is still employed.
Yeah, that's the first crazy part. Second part about this is just the whole deal where it's like, okay, we're going to see Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak. It's going to be awesome. And how's it going to be awesome for me? Well, like I said, I get to see Drew Gulak lock in like a dragon sleeper on him, maybe choke out Lio Rush for doing the whole Lashley deal. I'm still not over that. It just needs to be a thing that happens where he just literally gets just wrecked. Then after that, it's like, okay, Leo Rush, I forgive you now. You can be a babyface now. Oh, wait. There were still those things you said on Twitter. Maybe get beat up a couple more times, then we'll talk.
Yeah, he can take his lumps, and then we'll be good. I got this gut feeling he might actually take the title. So I think 205 Live might absorb and absolve into NXT, and a lot of people were confused about why is Imperium here. I'm like, well, there's a few things. NXT UK tapes like 6 shows in one sitting. Either last night or tonight's show, they had Cassius Ohno going up against the assistant to the general manager, like the Dwight Schrute of NXT UK, Sid Scala, who is actually a wrestler himself, go up against Cassius in a British rounds match. Cassius destroys him. But I'm intrigued, but I think Imperium, I think it's going to be like Imperium versus NXT. Oh, give me Imperium versus Undisputed Era in War Games. I know that's probably not happening, but I still think / hope that women, the women's division, is going to get a War Games match this year. Maybe there's going to be 2. But Imperium versus Kushida, someone. I was going to say Matt Riddle, but I think Matt Riddle's going to be a little busy come that time. So
he might, because we got to talk about the main event, which was Killian Dane versus Matt Riddle, the original bro, in a street fight, which ends in a no contest. Not since last year's god dang freaking Hell in a Cell match have I been ticked off that it's, hey, a no DQ deal, but we're going to end it with a no contest. Just why, damn it, why? But at the same time, we got some pretty good action-packed deals in which we see Imperium getting involved with this because Matt Riddle and Killian Dane, they're outside, they're just thinking hey, we're going to fight in the streets, it's a street fight, boom, boom, boom. We see Forgotten Sons, it's oh, hey, you guys are still a thing. And yeah, I forgot about you. Then we see 2 random people just sitting in a chair. They're kind of talking, and one of the people that was in the chair was Walter. So he gets involved. The Imperium gets involved. Then we see Street Profits. We see so many other people just getting involved, coming in, going crazy. Everybody just goes absolutely batshit bananas. Just them all literally beating up each other. It's kind of one of those things where it's okay, so this is kind of like an NXT show that needed to end on an entirely brawl deal. I hate the fact that it ended with a no contest because of the no DQ stipulation, but I'm very happy with the fact that it was still a good enough spot to where it's acceptable, because now you don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to see, as you said, Team NXT versus Team Imperium? Are we going to see Killian Dane versus Matt Riddle in a no DQ, maybe in a cage match somewhere? Maybe they get locked into the War Games cages or something like that. Who knows at this point? Either way, it's going to be absolutely insane deal. 2 hours of NXT was perfect, in all honesty. I didn't feel exhausted after it. I didn't feel like I wasted my time after that. It felt like the perfect amount of wrestling for NXT. So, 2 things I would say for this. 1, great job NXT on your debut on USA Network. It looked really awesome. 2, pick a spot. Either have it on the network or have it on USA Network. Don't just have 1 hour here and then another hour here, because that's just stupid.
3, Canada, figure out NXT. I know Wednesday night on Sportsnet is hockey night. Wednesday on Sportsnet they'll have the Leafs game, and on Sportsnet 360, which is the other variant, used to be called The Score back in the day, they'll have, say, the Winnipeg Jets. You can air NXT on Thursday. You can air NXT at midnight after the West Coast game. Come on, Sportsnet. you've been reached out for a comment from, like, I don't know, Sean Ross or NXT or insert reporter here, but they're like, oh yeah, we don't have anything yet. So someone who can't get the network, I mean, I have to rely on nefarious means to even watch NXT. Well, I do that for pay-per-views anyways, but come on, Canada. And figure out AEW as well. Canada, Cody, TSN, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
Don't be taking too many shots at my boy Cody. He and I are like that. We're cool.
I'm not. I'm just asking him a simple question. I'm like, hey, I want all this wrestling, but I want it. Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want. All right, guys.
What I really want.
So, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Game Changer podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition. Be sure to also check us out on Twitter at LegendaryJF, at RealFNGame to interact with us. And be sure to use the hashtag ProTalkWrestling because we're that cool and we would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you want to interact with me and SoCal Valve during the Survivor Series show, be sure to use the hashtag WrestlingRenaissance because, like I said, the last tweet with that mention there should not be Dixie Carter. It should be two people who actually respect wrestling. Be sure to also check out all the great people at Wrestle Addict Radio, like I said before, us here at the Game Changer Podcast, the Gift of Podcast, Not Your Mama's Soap Opera Podcast, the Fourth Wall WrestleCast, as well as the Kings of the Rings Podcast. $5, Patreon. Check it out. It's absolutely great. Exclusive content you're not going to get anywhere else. You can always check us out on so many great podcasting forums. So, for Mr. Fretz, I've been Nate the Effing Great. We'll talk to you guys in the next episode. But before we do, I have to issue congratulations to you and your family for getting some new members of the family. I do understand that a certain someone in the family is tying the knot.
Yes. By the time you hear this, I will be on my couch, probably hungover, playing Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening remake. Yes, this Saturday my brother is getting married. And him and Dave and Stacy, they've been together for about a decade now. But he proposed, they were. I thought just they'd be, hey, common law, whatever. And then a few years ago, they went on a trip to Montreal, as they go every once in a while to go to a Montreal Canadiens game. Dave's like, he calls me like, oh yeah, I proposed to Stacy. Like, we're not like a lovey-dovey, touchy family, so we're like, oh yeah, I proposed to Stacy. I'm like, hey, cool. When's the wedding? Oh, I don't know yet. A couple months later, he's like, you're gonna be an uncle. Cool. Okay. And then we're like, oh yeah, and the wedding's not gonna be for a while yet, kind of thing. So they had David, or we used to call him David Jr., but to not create confusion, my brother's Dave, my nephew's David, and then they had Abby, my niece, and they wanted to wait until the kids were old enough to be a flower girl and a ring bearer. So, yeah, it's this weekend, this Saturday. It'll have already happened by the time that this episode airs. So, yeah, big ups to Dave. I'm the best man, and it's like cool thing is, Dave's just like, yeah, you don't need to do anything for me. Just like I even asked Stacy, I'm like, do I need to do a bachelor party? Because my brother doesn't drink. He won't go to a titty bar. And I'm like, those are your stereotypes. I'm like, well, what do we do? And Stacy's just like, just show up to the wedding. I'll talk to you off air about why that is. But it's he's like, yeah, you just show up and there's no speeches, thank God. But it's just, yeah, it'll be cool to see. Like, my parents are coming up tomorrow. My dad's had up and down health for, almost 20 years now, but it's going to be great to see my old man, have a beer with him. And, a bunch of my friends from work, a bunch of Dave's old friends who I haven't seen in ages will be there. Yeah, it'll be a good time. So big shout out to Dave, and I won't cheap plug my podcast yet because this is about him. So he won't hear this anyways. Like, I recommend he not listen to this, especially if he has the kids in the car, because Uncle Jamie's going to say some swears like he already did. So big love, big props there. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm off until next Monday, so I have like 4 days to sleep, drink, wedding, game, catch up on shit. So it's, yeah. By the time I'm back to, I'm looking at my calendar, I'm like, Monday's the first day of fall. How about that?
Right. Guys, be sure to tune in to more great stuff from the Game Changer podcast. Be sure to check us out at Wrestle Addict Radio. We'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye. Make a difference.
Shock the system.